Angini namukele ehlelweni Kusile Breakfast Show lomhla ekuseni. It is a Tuesday, the 22nd day of the third month of the year 2023, the month of March. Blessed and grateful to wake up yet again and keep marching. Good morning. Kusile ngwanelo muhle ngivusela wonke umuntu lovulela uhlelo ikusile Breakfast Show kubomabona kutse or you're streaming from YouTube. Thank you for tuning into your perfect recipe to start your day. Luhlelo ke ulethelwa ngumsakazo wethombe Eswatini TV live and direct from our Hospital Hill studios in Hlokodolobha eMbabane. Vuka nathi ke ngwanelo muhle nalomhla ekuseni unambitha naku lesikulethela kona. Njengenjwayelo ke sita kwetfulela tindzaba tetfu talapha ekhaya kungakapheli nje imizuzu leminengi kubumbene insimbi yesithupha. Bese ke kuthi ingagabanca insimbi yesithupha sitawukhuluma nebenkampani yahulumende lekhanga bosomabhizinisi i-Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority nomsebenzi noma ke luhlelo lolwatiwa ngevusa umnotho Expo lwalonyaka. Siphe sihle enkabinde longumphathi wetekuthengiselana kuleli enkampanini utawusichazela kabanti ukuthi lolu hlelo lucala nini, sicubulo salo sithini, nokuthi ke who are they focusing on capacitating ku business lonyaka. Kutawuthi uma kubumbana insimbi yesikhombisa sibuke indzaba lechamuka ngephandle kwalapha eveni. Kanzi uma stephetha sitawuhlala ke phansi nemphunga mkhululi idlamini. Lotawusichazela kabanti ngemhlangano welikhulu nemashumi lamane nesithupha wenhlangano yemaphalamende emhlabeni lowatiwa nge-Parliamentary Union loba ubanjelwe edolobheni leManama eveni leBahrain evikini leliphelile. The senator will give us an overview of some of the key deliberations from the assembly as well as touch on some excerpts from the speech that he delivered at the assembly. Thanks once again for tuning into Kusile Breakfast Show. Stay with us. Sisachuba luhlelo. Let us take a quick ad break. When we return, we'll look at our news. 5 minutes after 6 lesikhatsanyalo ke sitawubuka tindzaba lapha ekhaya. Liphini landvunankhulu Themba Masuku selekhude sive senkhundla seHosiya kwekuthi sisiyeke sento seludlame kanye nekubulala takhiwo. Liphini landvunankhulu belikhuluma endzaweni yaseSilele ngaphansi kwalenkhundla ngesikhatsi liyawuhlanyela tihlahla eSilele Red Cross Clinic ngaphansi kwemkhankaso wekuhlanyela tihlahla welitiko letemvelo lapho lichaze khona ukuthi hulumende utayicinisa imitsetfo ukuvikela imibutho yetekuvikela imphahla kanye naso sonke sive seMaswati.
Lelibandla lelishisa imiphakathi lelishisa tisekelo telive tingasho ukuthi nasesewushisile lo mphakathi kutasekwenteka nako nipolicaphele nje kakhulu ngoba umuntu longena plan uyingoti fana umuntu omdala nje ekhaya longena plan kokuthi simo nasinje ngidasengiphuma ngakuphi uyingoti ufuna nibugathe lokho ushisa umphakathi ungahloniphi ngesingisi nalisho kakhulu i disrespect of the highest order ukuthi utawushisa umphakathi yini bese uyayihlonipha lekhaya kini na uphuma uphethe imejiso bona bathini.
Chief Mlojo wasemphakathini wakaliba ucele uhulumende kwekuthi achubeke nekwesekela lenkhundla.
Solo siba seHosiya sibalo uhulumende lokhona la even. Leke ibheke ukuthi simlalele asisevise ngendlela lonke live lalisevisa ngayo. Kube nemigwaco. Kube netibhedlela. Kube nemitholampilo leyenele.
Liphini landvunankhulu libese linikelela labo labadzingile kulenkhundla kudla kanye netingubo. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Nelsiwendla ngamandla kunambongwa Dube Hosiya.
Libhange le-First National Bank selesekele umncintiswano wekuhlomelisa somabhizinisi wemnyaka i-Entrepreneur of the Year Awards ngemali lengu-1.5 million emalangeni. Isukumisa lo msebenzi walonyaka ngekwemtsetfo indvuna yetemabhizinisi Manqoba Khumalo ithi le mali itawudlala indzima lenkhulu ukucinisekisa kwekuthi lo msebenzi uba imphumelelo. Lo msebenzi ke wekusukumisa lo mncintiswano bewubanjelwe ehotela le-Hilton Garden Inn eMbabane ngeMsombuluko.
Indvuna yithi umsebenzi lo njengalona umcoka njengobe uhlose kusita kakhulu bosomabhizinisi labancane ikakhulu bomake le-65% wabo bahlala etindzaweni letisemakhaya.
Sifuna kwenta siqiniseko ukuthi bonke bosomabhizinisi etifundeni tonke nasetinkundleni tonke kangwane balithola lithuba lekungenela lo mncintiswano. Indlela ke yokungenela lo mncintiswano kaSEDCO sebasinikile kunemafomu lofuneke uwagcwalise kepha ke ungamthinta SEDCO uma ngabe ufuna ukuthola mhlambe imininingwane leminyenti siyathokoza ke kusho lokuthi lonyaka sitawuphinze sibe nawo lo mncintiswano ngoba seminyaka sigcinile kuba nawo ngesizathu seCovid nesizathu letinye ke letendekile.
Umphathi welibhange le-First National Bank Dennis Mbingo uthi batawuchubeka besekele bosomabhizinisi labancane basathuthukisa emabhizinisi abo.
In recognition, Minister, of the effort of the team and of your ministry and the fact that the mechanics seem to work, and there's been a very strong response of from the private sector. We are looking at almost doubling that amount to 1.5 million emalangeni this year.
Umphathi wakaSEDCO lengiyona ngabhane ichuba lo msebenzi ikhethiwe mhlanga uthi lo mncintiswano umcoka njengobe ukhuthata kusungulwa kwemabhizinisi.
We are here basically to see within Eswatini where are the innovative businesses right now? Are they with us? Or we have a lot of work that we still need to do.
Lo mncintiswano wekuhlomelisa somabhizinisi lohlabene ngeminyaka uqale ngeminyaka wanga 2002 kanti bosomabhizinisi lesebaphumelele bangu-90. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV nginguNelsiwendla ngamandla kunambongwa Dube eMbabane.
Emakomiti labuke kusebenta kwematiko ahulumende endlini yabayesikhulu seketfule imibiko yekusebenta kwalamatiko kanye nemaphakelo awo eminyaka wetimali wa 2023-2024. Kuqaleke kwetfulwa umbiko welihhovisi landvunankhulu lotsinze netindzaba tesibaya. Lo mbiko wetfulwe ngusihlalo waleli komiti Jacob Siwela.
Indzaba Mr Speaker la itsinza cishe amalunga lamaningi kwaba indzaba yana 30 million Mr Speaker lo budgethelwe i-dialogue. Acele amalunga lokuthi njengoba nango 30 million so budgetiwe phela akumane kube khona le pre-dialogue mhlawumbe ngokayona selikhethweni ukuze kusi lamaswati kusekuyokhethwe nje kube khona la sakubekile Mr Speaker. Le obviously ke landvulankulu Mr Speaker la kunothalo komcondzisi. La indzaba Mr Speaker la itsinze malunga ayinanatela. Mr Speaker letsinza live lonke la kangwane. Ngekuthi ke litiko landvulankulu lipheze libe ngilo leading head of government. Bacela ukuthi kuna iParliamentary beyicela ukuthi akufana iprogress le 500 kilometers even lonke la kangwane. Bacela ukuthi indvulankulu nje head of government akamane kubonakala kufanele ukuthi lokho akukhwetele Mr Speaker gcine kwendekile ngoba la even simo semgwaco simlesibi kakhulu Mr Speaker le emangweni lapho sibuya khona lapho sithunywe khona ngelabantu litiko landvulankulu emqondisi wenkulumo qala thembisela ukuthi kubambisana lelitiko la Works bataw kwenda kube sure ukuthi lokho kuyendeka Mr Speaker.
Sihlalo lomusha welibandla lebacondzisi benkampani yahulumende letfutfukisa bosomabhizinisi labancane iSETCO Dr. Amandla Dlamini uthi batawukwenta siciniseko lesiphelele kwekuthi batfutfukisa tonke tinhlangothi letitsindzekako basenta umsebenzi wabo. Dlamini bekakhuluma eHilton Garden Inn eMbabane ngemuva kwekwetfulwa indvuna yetemabhizinisi nekutsengiselana manqoba khumalo.
Indvuna ithi yethemba wekuthi Dr. Dlamini nelibandla lakhe utawusebenta ngekutimisela.
I'm glad to announce that Dr. Amandla Dlamini has kindly agreed to serve as the new chairperson of the board at SETCO.
Sihlalo waleli bandla lelisanza kubekwa uthi kusita tinhlangothi letitsindzekako tikhulise ematfuba yemisebenzi kumgcokwa kulamalanga.
Lenyalo sokukahle ukuthi abantu baticashe bona more than anything else so ngicabanga ukuthi kunemesitakubuka and of course ke umuntu ngalokuthi une background futhi yaka education at the same time. So sengiyacabanga nje ukuthi kulamalanga kunabo privoke where students are being given entrepreneurship skills at high school level. Probably we can even take those kids ukuthi mina baphuma baya kuphi yini engakwenta support help them ukuthi bagcinise abantu abakhulu nabo in the country.
Ekusho kwelitiko letemabhizinisi lelibandla kubhekeke kwekuthi libe sehhovisi iminyaka lemithatfu. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Nelson Ngamandla kunambongwa Dube eMbabane.
Bosomabhizinisi labancane labathengisa egedeni eNgwenya bakhalala smartphones ngekhamba kancane kwebhizinisi itolo. Lokhu kubangelwe siteleka lebesikhona event leSouth Africa lebesihlanganiswe licembu letembusave i-Economic Freedom Fighters.
Lusuku lwemsombuluko aluketine ebhizinisi njengejwayelo kulabanye bosomabhizinisi labancane egedeni eNgwenya. Lokhu kungobe bantfu bekude njengasemihleni ngenxa yesiteleka lesimise konke event leNingizimu Afrika lesihlanganiswe licembu letembusave i-Economic Freedom Fighters. Sikhulumisene nabosomabhizinisi labancane labathengisa khona eNgwenya ngalolu suku ukuthi lubahambele njani.
Isimo vele asifanani kushintshile njengoba phela nathi siphekile kodwa ukudla akuthengwa kusho ukuthi vele lama truck amisiwe are very supportive to everyone.
Namuhla ayikho kakhulu because nje lokho ungakhola ama truck vele ibhizinisi imile.
Namuhla kude nalabamfu labaphumako la gedeni thina nje siphekile nemimbila yethu sosile akuthengwa kude nalobudako ke kuthi malini. Uyathi ngifike ekuseni nga10 lapha ngabasa umlilo wami ngapheka umbila wami wavutha sesidekile la mgwacweni. Kodwa babuthi nalokuthi malini njengoba ngikhuluma nje ngithengise only 2 eBhuluja 24 rand.
Lokunye lokuthi kabetekile kwekuhamba njengobe emaloli atfolakele apakile angaphumi lapha eveni ngekwesaba lokwendeka kuleli live labomakhelwane. kanzi netincola letetfala sive nato betite ibhizinisi njengenjwayelo. Ndzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Themkosi Mavimbela nginaThemba Shabangu eNgwenya.
Luqalile ngeMsombuluko luhlelo lwekuniketa abantwana amaphilisi okukhipha bomanyukane lolwatiwa nge-deworming. Lo mkhankaso uchubeka eveni lonke ngekubambisana kwelitiko letempilo kanye nelitiko letemfundo nekucecesha. Sivakashele kamanzini kuyobuka ukuthi luhamba njani lolu hlelo.
Litiko letemphilo lihlangene nelitiko letemfundvo lasukumisa luhlelo lekunika abantfwana labafundza sikolwa emaphilisi ekukhipha bomanyokane kanye nemtfundzangati. Lolu hlelo lucale ngeMsombuluko kuto tonkhe tifundza telive kantsi litiko letemphilo litsi lusuku lokucala luhambe kahle noko kube khona bantfwana labaphatsekako.
Uhlelo luhamba kahle kwanyalo kusetela okubi labasibikele kona. Singathi nje kahoho ngenhla kunesikolo labathi bantfana lababili babike ukuthi banenhloko kodwa ke bababonile babasita. Sinema team langu 45. Tikolo bekumele stikhave namuhla tingu 84 ema primary kubhicene nema high schools. Ema team so far akhonile kufika etikolweni letingu 51. Kodwa ke solo basasebenta nanyalo basesekhona labasetikolweni.
Sivakashele isikolo lesincane se-Beaufort Nazarene lapho bantfwana batfolakele baniketwa lamaphilisi.
Bantfwana lesinabo is close to 400 and irresponse batali ibeyinhle because I think close to 80% they did sign their consent forms. So I understand the importance of keeping their kids healthy.
Bantfwana labe banikwa lamaphilisi ngulabo bebaphethe emaphepha lasayinwe batali lakhomba kona ukuthi bayavuma ukuthi bantwa babo baniketwe lawa maphilisi. Labe bakhombisa timpawu tekungaphili kahle ngemuva kokuthola lamaphilisi bebanakwa betemphilo babuye babe kahle. Ndzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Themkosi Mavimbela nginaThemba Shabangu kamanzini.
Ngenhloso yekutfutfukisa emakhono ebantfu labasha lihhovisi le-Alliance Francaise belibambe umcimbi wekukhangisa ngemakhono lafaka ekhatsi kuhlabela kanye nekudansa. Ngekusho kwemchumanisi wetinhlelo kuleli hhovisi Karen Groening, insha lapha eveni ingakhona kutiphilisa ngemakhono ayo.
Umcimbi we-Francophone ubanjwe njalo ngeminyaka emahhovisini e-Alliance Francaise emhlabeni wonke. Insha lenemakhono lahlukile lasezingeni elisetulu bekakade akhangisa ngemakhono awo. Umchumanisi wetinhlelo kuleli hhovisi Karen Groening uthi-ke eMaswati sekanemakhono lasezingeni lelingakhona kungenisa imali.
The main purpose of this event is to unearth Swazi talent in the country, as we know that the art industry feeds into the economy quite a bit. So creating such platforms inspires young artists to actually follow their dreams and not let anything stand in their way. Another reason for this festival is to promote French language and culture and cultural diversity. It really aches me and pains my heart actually every time you see such talents and they are not validated or regarded as important, especially with the art and entertainment industry. There's less respect for that industry, which is quite disheartening, to be honest. But in this country, if we were to focus on the talents and young people with music, not just goes beyond music, it goes into art, your creative work, and all of that. If we focus on that, I feel like we'd go far.
Emavikini lengcile eMaswati lanemakhono kutemasiko beka 7 lendiya kuyokhangisa ngawo lamakhono lokuyinfo lekhombisa kutfutfuka kwawo. Etindzabeni kubika Sondomlangeni nginaThemba Shabangu eMbabane.
Kutemidlalo, mengameli wenhlangano lengamele umdlalo welibhola letinyawo lapha eveni Peter Samora Simelane uthi uyabethemba abadlali labakhetfwe kusihlangu semnikati ukuthi batawukhona kuncoba emidlalweni wekuhlungela indzebe ye-African Cup of Nations nelikhethelo lesive lase-Cape Verde. Simelane bekakhuluma nakavalelisa lelikhethelo e-Technical Center Kalobamba.
Likhethelo lesive lemidlalo webhola la kuleli sihlangu semnikati lesololangena-ke enkambu emavikini lamabili lendlulile lilungiselela-ke umdlalo wekuhlungela indzebe ye-African Cup of Nations. Likhethelo lesive-ke sihlangu semnikati-ke lihambile-ke lasuka kuleli lalibhekisa khona e-Cape Verde lapho khona livaleliswe ngumengameli wayo inhlangano lengameli umdlalo webhola yakuleli Peter Samora Simelane lapho agcizelele kakhulu ukuthi waqala wadlalela likhethelo lesive sihlangu semnikati usuke sowuphakamisa umjeke njengoba usuke sowumelele live.
Uma niphuma lamuhla niyahamba nokulwa niyolwela live, you need to protect the badge and ama chances ethu ekuqualifya kule ku-AFCON stoya e-Ivory Coast maningi kakhulu. So thina nje kufanele ukuthi umasamba siwine le game lesiyodlala soyidlala iCape Verde. Uma babuya sibaphinze lapho umsebenzi kutabe sowulula ngoba sasesicedzela ngeTogo neBurkina Faso.
Kanti-ke naye umqiqishi walo likhethelo lesive sihlangu semnikati Dominic Kunene bagcizelele kakhulu ukuthi batawudlala ngekutimisela khona-ke eCape Verde.
Akusiyo igame letabalula leya, itaba lukhuni kakhulu ngendlela yokuthi nawo babuka badlala kuligi lesesigabeni lesithe. Kepha-ke nami la madoda lenginawo lama players kule ndlela timisela ngayo sitawuzama lokho ukuthi sinakekele lokho kube mgcoka egamini lokho ukuthi unakekele because nawudlala nama-professionals iphutha lelincane nje uyaphanishwa ngalo.
Kanti-ke yena Captain Lindo Mkhondeke angeke abe ingcenye yabo-ke badlaleli abatawudlala nayo iCape Verde kanye-ke nakwakhe Mthethwa Lindo-ke Mkhonto wathola likhadi libovu. Kanti-ke yena kwakhe Mthethwa wathola emakhadi lamthubi lamabili-ke kule midlalo lemibili. Kanti-ke likhethelo lesive sihlangu semnikati lineliphuzu linye nje vo ngaphasi kwa-Group B. Lo mdlalo-ke welikhethelo lesive sihlangu semnikati utawudlalwa ngalesihlanu khona eCape Verde bese-ke iCape Verde ibuyisela tinyawo ngomsombuluko evikini lelitako. Lobikile umsakazo Eswatini TV kutemidlalo ngilinda Dlamini eMbabane.
Mapalane wenhlangano yemidlalo werugby lapha eveni Simanga Magagula uthi-ke emhlanganweni lomkhulu wenhlangano leyengamele umdlalo werugby evenikatini le-Afrika babese basukumisa likomiti lelitobuka indlela yokudlalisa onke emave langendansi nesifundza salivekati le-Afrika njengoba-ke kude imincintiswano leminyenti lamave lewadlalako. Lo mhlangano bewubanjelwe eKapa eveni laseNingizimu Afrika.
Mensa bekasicelile ukuthi sithi inhlangano ezibengibekile ekucaleni ukuthi kunase South kunase North kunakuphi kanjani nathi siba se South abe siba nemhlangano ke ngikubuka ukuthi siba nesikhathi lesithe singadlali kwaba ngiboba kangwane kwaba ngiboba seMozambique kwaba ngiboba seLesotho kwaba ngiyo eZimbabwe kwase kuba iBotswana kwase kuba iMauritius sahlangana singitsa nje ukuthi sitawenda kanjani because kuna region 5 udlalisa ema games eRugby City inhlanhla yethu lenhle sinabo baseBotswana ema-office la khona aka region 5 aseBotswana. So nathi ke sesiyahlala siba netingqongqodo ukuthi nathi siba se-Afrika asivele ibhasi singayimeli estation asingayimeli ekhaya siyimele estation savele sahlangana sasiyaphuma ke nawo sacela ukuthi mengameli wasefetang waseLesotho kutaba nguye shemeni wale Southern Region yethu kulesikhashana ezisazama ukuthi siqhubeke sitobuka ukuthi sidlalisa kanjani asesethi ngoba ema-office aka region 5 aseLesotho aseBotswana asinikede bona baseBotswana ukuthi kube ngibomabhalane wethu.
Stanford Ncube wekutalwa eveni laseZimbabwe lo wake wadlalela emacembu lamane lamakhulu akuleli lafaka ekhathi imbabane Highlanders, imbabane Swallows, iManzini Wanderers kanye neGreen Mamba. Uthi licembu leGreen Mamba kanye nembabane Swallows kubonakala kungiwo ladlala ngcono lokwenta ukuthi abe semathubeni lamahle kuphakamisa indzebe ye-MTN Premier kulomnyaka losetulu. Ncube uphindze waveta ukuthi ibhola yakangwane ingalahlekelwa kakhulu nangabe licembu leManzini Wanderers lingadliwa yinkemba.
Umncintiswano nomnyaka losetulu webhola ye-MTN Premier League ubonakala ulukhuni njengoba emacembu lamane alwela kuphakamisa yona le ndzebe. I-Green Mamba ihlete eTulu esicongweni kanti ilandzelwa i-Young Buffaloes lehlete endaweni yesibili bese kuthi iMbawana Swallows isendaweni yesithathu. iMbawana Highlanders yona isendaweni yesine kanti sekusele imidlalo lesikhombisa ukuthi kuphele yona iligi. Noma amaneke amaqembu lasemathubeni ekuphakamisa yona ilendzebe kodwa-ke Stanford Ncube ubona ngathi isemkhatsini amaqembu lamabili.
I feel the league for now, for me, I think it's between Green Mamba and Mbabane Swallows because of their consistency. And with their local coaches, some people sometimes they take it for granted as listening with the local coach and the foreign coach, but they know the Swazi soccer, how it is supposed to be run and everything. So I believe they've got the edge over the other teams, especially when it comes to Islanders, they are striking in terms of consistency. So I feel between Green Mamba and Mbabane Swallows.
Kanti lelinye licembu lake lidlalela yena Ncube licembu leManzini Wanderers lelisangotini ekudliwa inkemba.
No, it will be painful especially for the Wanderers family, but as a country nje is a big team nje la Eswatini, so I feel would say somehow somewhere they must find a way to sort out their problems, then the team can survive.
Kanti imidlalo ye-M10 Premier League itoze ibuye idlalo kule mpelasonto ekuqala kule nyanga letako. Babiyela umsakazo Eswatini TV emidlalo ngilinda Dlamini eMbabane.
26 minutes after 6 tabahlola emakethe sibuke isimo selitulu singakayi khona emakethe. Uma sibuya sihlala phansi na domestic trade manager from Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority Siphesihle Nkabinde kusichazela kabanti ngevuso umnotfo Expo.
Inflation has gone up a lot recently, and to help bring it down, central banks have been increasing interest rates. These rising rates affect many aspects of our daily life, from how much we pay for our car loan to how much our money is worth. For instance, when interest rates go up, the value of a country's currency, or your money, usually also goes up relative to the value of other currencies. Why does that happen? Well, the higher return on investment will attract more money from abroad, increasing demand for that currency and raising its value. And when a currency gets stronger, import prices go down, and that helps reduce inflation. To give you a better sense of how this plays out, let's look at what happened last year with the US dollar. The Federal Reserve made the steepest series of rate hikes in more than 2 decades, raising its policy rates 7 times in 2022. This was needed to bring inflation under control and keep the US economy stable. The higher interest rates boosted returns on US assets, increasing demand for the dollar and raising its value relative to other currencies. And that had a global impact, because about half of world trade, including oil, is invoiced in dollars. So what does that mean for the rest of the world? In the short term, a stronger dollar can increase inflation pressures in other countries because it raises the prices of imports that many emerging markets and developing economies rely on. And for economies with high dollar-denominated debt, a rising dollar can weaken economic growth or even cause debt distress or financial crises. That is because a strong dollar makes debt in foreign currency harder to repay, leading companies to reduce investment and possibly even pushing some into bankruptcy. This puts these countries' central banks in a difficult position. They need to raise interest rates to address inflation, even though that poses risks to growth and financial stability. Countries with high inflation must raise rates to bring prices back under control. This is a priority because the longer inflation stays high, the harder it will be to bring it down. But central banks may also dig into their toolbox for other instruments beyond interest rates. And at the IMF, we provide central banks and policymakers with advice that can help mitigate risks to growth and financial stability. For example, central banks can intervene in the currency market, which could be helpful in some countries that have done much of their borrowing in dollars or other foreign currencies. If needed, they can also provide liquidity support through asset purchases. This will help steady the financial system. There are downsides to the use of these tools, though. especially because they can make it more difficult to understand the position of the central bank's monetary policy. For instance, central bank asset purchases could give the impression that monetary policy is loosening, even when that is not the case. That's why we recommend that these tools must be used with care and be communicated carefully. It is also important that they are deployed only sparingly and temporarily.
Why should we pay our TV license?
The content on our local television is actually more up to date. The industry is enhanced.
It is a criminal offense not to pay your TV license and attracts a fine of 500 emalangeni or 6 months imprisonment.
And the industry is definitely blooming, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what we have for you. But we'll be right back just after the break and we'll give you more of Miss V.
Pay my TV license. That's why I can enjoy the benefits of an enhanced industry and keep track with recent transformation.
Mommy, who paid for a TV license and what are they paying for?
The owners of TV set and a gadget with a tuner like DVD set have to pay.
Pay your TV license at NetBank with the details provided on screen. Or use your cell phone via the mobile money pay. You could also visit your nearest post office and pay there. Pay your TV license via Eswatini Mobile Imali. Any TV device retailer can purchase a license to trade. Pay your TV license and enhance the industry.
Minutes after 6, welcome back. Now there's hope for micro and small and medium enterprises as they are set to receive business assistance through the Vusumnot for Expo. A press release from the Expo highlights that as part of its Expo activities, the Vusumnot for Expo 2023 will run free business seminars from the 23rd to the 24th of March at Thames Water World Hotel. The first seminar will be on the 23rd of March, will focus on women in trade. The second seminar, the 24th of March, will focus at financing for trade. I'm joined now by Sipesihle Ngabinde, who is the domestic trade manager with the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority, to discuss this development further. Mr. Ngabinde, thank you so much for making time. Kuvuka ekseni utawukhulumisana nathi lo mhla lapha ka Kusile Breakfast Show. Kunjani namhla ekseni?
No. Sivusele kuwe. Phindze sivusele naloyo lobukelayo.
Yeah. Siyabonga Mr. Ngabinde, siyathi ukuthi ninkampani yahulumende lekhanga bo samabhizinisi, you play an integral role kuVusumnot for Expo, of course working with other key stakeholders. Sisibonga kuba nawe lamhla ekseni kungaba nje kulandzisela umbukeli ekhaya, particularly long samabhizinisi lo njengoba sesihighlightile ukuthi this seminar will be free longafuna kuba part of this Expo. Kuthi what is Vusumnot for Expo kuze nje atawuba nako ukuthi afune kuba part of this experience.
Thanks for the opportunity. Kuqala kwami nje ngaba kuqala lokuthi Vusumnotho we are turning 2 this year. Siqale last year si introduce le trade show. We highlight nje trade show lecishe ina 4 facets. The first one ikhulumisa idina lebo soma business they are welcome to the dinner. at a fee or else mabe bathenga stall the nazanyana ukathenda leyo nazanyana ku-incorporated kule price yaleso stall. So basically kudina we are talking to issues lafaka ekhathi hulumende sikhulumisa issues lafaka ekhathi the economic overview bese siphika certain issues la ukhanza khona ukuthi mhlambe impacta directly kusomabhizinisi. Then ifacility yesibili yethu ukuthi it's an exhibition show la sinema-companies lakhona la even laphinze exhibit. Kwesithathu sekungilama-seminars. Ama-seminars ngilasethula khona imfundzate nje lothite la abantu batakhona funza ba-understand ukuthi ima-topic la-sensitive kuleso sikhathi lesikiso ngumaphi especially kuyona ibhizinisi. Then the last day sesiba ne-family fun day la ukhanza khona ukuthi sesibuya sonke-ke singumndeni sitowujabula kuyena Vusumnotho.
Ngifuna sifocuse kakhulu kunaye sithathu loyibalile yema-seminars. Utsinza indzaba yokuthi particularly press release ni highlighter two subtopic. On the 23rd of March, you're focusing on women in trade. Can we just briefly just look at that overview? Your women in trade. Why women in particular?
Cishe esikhathini lesiningi masihleli sibuka trade nazanyana results noma statistics sethu sikhanza ukuthi bomake they tend to be left behind ku trade. Ukhanza ukuthi inombolo tabatsito letingasiti ngaba ngiletijabulisako. So sisiteke lo nyaka no asesifocus kumuntu longimake either it's a girl child noma ngilosanga somabhizinisi noma lokucabanga ukungena ebhizinisini kuthi akasonzele atokto khona ku-understand ukuthi ngabe yini la ngasitakala khona. Masikhulumisa nje i-women in trade lana sinema-associations lacishe asebenzisane nabomake kutodona nizabadaka trade ndawubekisa nje sinawithati phinze sinalabo labakhulumela i-youth kuyona i-trade. So nakhona lapho sitamala ukuthi bato-understand abomake ukuthi bona lama-institutions lawo abalekelela kanjani ekuthini bakhona ekutrader or badevelophe kuyona i-trade khona lana Eswatini. Bese sisiba nabo somabhizinisi ke laba vele bakhona wona lo mkhakha webhizinisi labatawukhulumisa nje ukuthi ngabe thina sihamba kanjani lendlela. Ndawubekisa nje sinamake sithole lesinayo yena lo tabakhulumisa inzabe ukuthi ama-feedlotters bomake bangangena yini. Esikhathini lesiningi siyibonile i-dominator bobabe but kunamake lokhona lokucishana naye play a very key role ekuthenini le feedlot sector ikhona kundlondlobala in the country. So our aim basically ukuthi the girl child noma loyo lofisa kolongimake kungena ebhizinisini noma loyo losavela khona ebhizinisini come and share usherishe bobonke ukuthi yini wena lokufisile kwendakalani, what opportunities are there. And isingakhohlwa kunema-challenges ke ebhizinisini. What challenges nje angene deep lo muntu akhona kusichazela ukuthi sibomake noma siphumelela kanjani noma senda kanjani.
Yeah, I want to ask ngoba ngiyakhumbula nje na uthinza indzaba yabo uyithatha sikile saba naye make sebenzile lapha ehlelweni uthinza indzaba ukuthi the biggest gap labayibonako nyalo ukuthi bomake kungathi basalela emuva etindzabeni tabo e-commerce. Engabe leti imfundziso tenu noma kule mifundzate lentaba nayo lemifundza sikole lentaba nayo is it overarching yini leti imfundziso tenu noma ti-focusa on specific sectors?
We are open for every sector. Vusumnotho nje yena mbamba akasiko specific in terms of sectors. We are just open. So tonke tinhlelo tethu sitivulele for every sector. Eduka transport, uka pharmaceutical, uka farming or everything. Sitama ukuthi mhlambe sikuvule sitakhona ukunderstand le tinto cishe holistically. Sekungafane kusala ke lokusala ukhanze due to time ukhanze usesakhona ukukwenda but esikhathini lesiningi siyafisa lokuthi sivule. Mangabekisa nje last year kona sibe sectors specific but we had 3 sectors kulele siwasebenzile last year. But this year we are just focusing on the women chat. Singafuni kuba specific to a certain sector. It's only on the second seminar session la ukhanza khona ukuthi no sesithi ke nyalo so ufunzile ngokusibomake bahlangana igcinamba etsini, what opportunities are there, what can I do to finance my business? That is our second question we have to answer during the seminars too.
Okay. I want us to get into the 24th of March now, the Financing for Trade Seminar. Engabe yona ni position kanjani taba empowerish kanjani bosoma business ukuthi what is it really that you want to talk about in terms of financing for trade?
We have a very attractive lineup of presenters. My institutions, we've got Eswatini Bank, we've got FNB, we've got ITCE, then Besesibana FinCorp. We will be joined by NEDX. Basically, Lena economy would say I've got the knowledge nyalo ukuthi ngisicala kanjani business ngihamba kanjani. I've been developed by the session yekucala. So now the question is uqhubeka kanjani, what financial opportunities are there la ngakhona wa tap in for as a startup or as something that can grow my business. Mase ku designer ukuthi let's talk to lama financial schemes which are sitting with Eswatini Bank. Let us hear in my process ukuthi how do I go about ngingimake noma ngilose my business together normal to join kulawo schemes noma to get assistance through lawo schemes. Then isina FNB la sibone khona aphakamisa lihlelo la e-wallet at the till. This one talks to losoma business ukuthi how can I assist or make life easier for my clients in terms of e-wallet services. So I think ilekelele in that sense. Then we got together abafana nabo FinCorp nabo NEDX who will be talking to my products abo basically. How do you access as umuntu losoma business ufuna khulisa business yakho ufuna kuyiqala business yakho, what do they need really ukuthi back assist ukuthi wena ukhona ukuchubeka ne business. They will be setting up stalls of which after our conversation through lama seminars they can go to the stands and abo. You can go to the stands abo to get more information and to tell them forma uyaqala ku register noma uqala le process. You can even start the process through the Vusumnoto platform.
Yeah. Ngabinde mangibuka kakhulu nje indzaba ye financing for trade. I'm reminded of the advent of COVID-19 and how it impacted especially local businesses. Of course it was a global thing, but we know how much it hit our economy as a country. We even saw government azama kwakhathi khwama tekulekelela bosoma business. Engabe uma nenta le study senu nikhanza ilimete kangakanani vele COVID-19 ema businesses lakhona?
Kulimele kakhulu Nxumalo. If you can look at it, we've lost a number of business people. Silahlekelwe nje i-experience lenicishe iningi kakhulu sicale nje in running of a business. So nyalo we are trying ukuthi to pick up where they left ukuthi at least singene kuleto platform noma lo masokisi laba bawafakile. Excuse me. Sitawukhona ukuthi siqhubeka sibosoma business siyembili. Number 2, financially sibene kuba disrupted kahle sibosoma business. You know ukuthi mangabe imisiwe ibusiness yami for a certain number of months through regulations lebe ashayiwe. It's very difficult to get an income, hence ukugcina sewubona ukuthi kunebantu sebahanjiswa babekwe ekhaya lokuthi sebenze nanama ngisakhona ukustocka because I cannot move across the borders webo lento le. The effect ibe yiningi kakhulu and vele ibe drastic. So I think what Vusumnoto is bringing to the table we would say let's come again, sicale la sigcine khona sifunze lekufanele sikufunze, then we tap into those spaces, especially lama financial nazanyana houses la khona usoma business to understand. Simbonile uhulumende fakile tinhlelo takhe tema schemes through Central Bank ne Eswatini Bank. So I think it's the time for soma business atawusonzela understand ukuthi what is it, what can I get from lama financial institution in order for me ukuthi ngikhone kuphindze ngibuyele to position lebe ngikiyo prior to COVID.
You mentioned 4 facets. Nasiqala ukuthi iVusumnoto ina 4 facets. We've covered the seminars and I think lokumcwa kakhulu ukuthi they are free. So emaswati siyawakhuthatha kakhulu ukuthi ayingenele nayo seminar nayo atakhona ukuthi abe capacitated with the business. I want us to touch on the second facet loitsinzile exhibition. I believe yona ke ngeke ibe free kuba phela sebayokhangisa labantu. It's a great opportunity for them. But I want to assume ukuthi it's very affordable, so much so they don't want to miss this opportunity. Give us an overview of the exhibition.
Definitely, my brother. Exhibition, it comes at a cost to some business. But access to the exhibition by the public, it's free. So, umuntu lofuna kutobuka titandi letikhona khona vusumnotho can come in, abone engage with labo soma business. Exhibition yethu, as we've talked earlier, we would see it's not focused to a sector. We've just opened to everybody. Lofuna showcase my products and my services. So we encourage the public ukuthi maybe isonzele itawutfola kabanti kwekuthenini kwendakalani, who's having what and who's selling what, so that batakhona engejana. I-exhibition esikhathini lesiningi bantu bayibuke as something which can get results in a short run. Whereas the exhibition is all about getting results either short run or even in the long run. Because sisebenta ngema-leads kakhulu. Once you get in and you engage another particular or potential clients, it's when the conversation goes, how can we assist each other in terms of trade? So I can encourage Njebosoma business, those that would be missing out, we would say, look at it, we would say, it's only about getting those people or potential clients by exposing your products or your services. So kulabo labafuna kusivakashela, feel free. My-exhibitors atawucala exhibitor mhla ka-23, 24, then even the Saturday at 25.
Okay. Ngiyafuna sikhulume nakancane ke indzaba ye family fun day. I think nje kulesikhathi lesiphila kuso into letithi fun timcwa kakhulu, siyathi ukuthi what's the climate like laveni and as well as neighboring countries. So kumcwa kakhulu ukuthi sihle siba nato tinto etfana naleti. Give us an overview of the fun day, Mr.
Family fun day, basically we've called it Kudla Kwasekhaya. The family food. We are talking to issues would say let's come and taste kudla legathi sagcina noma lesingakwati noma lesikutfole kancane sisaphila empilweni. Sinalelanga lethu la sithengisa khona, sithengisa lamatikiti available all ema-Galitos outlets in the country, where umuntu lomdzala uthola idamage 150, then umfana it's 70 emalangeni. Kule menu yethu basically sindawubekisa nje kuma-meats, sinembuti, sinenhloko, sinekwa ngekhatsi, lesicishe siku-preparishele for umuntu. Then bese sesiba nema-starches latsite nakhona la ukhanza khona ukuthi asintfu kakhulu. Then kuma-desserts and like emase mabele, just to name a few, imibhid for ucuza, imbuya. We are bringing that kind of nazanyana foods for nazanyana for the exhibition. Basically we are trying ukuthi sisonzete umuntu atawunetworker with the potential friends, potential clients, potential customers and even suppliers of my products akhe. Sikwende kube environment leta khona kufitha khona umntwana lomncane until izofika kumuntu lomdzala. For umntwana lomncane we've prepared games la fire cuts, swings, la fire cuts, rodeo pool. We've got 10 games plus swimming pool access for that particular day. Le khona accommodator umntwana lomncane ukuthi mhlambe akhona kwadlala lama games cishe onke. I-damage to access games in 100 emalangeni ngile access game, but access to the Vusumnotho area free nakhona, ungena mahala utihambele all around, but masufuna dlala games utawuthengela lo mfana lo hamba nayo inazanyana i-wristband leta kuniketa access to all the games for the duration from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m.
No, so I think ikuyevakala sekungaba nje kuchazela umbukeli ukuthi where can they access more information ngeVusumnotho Expo outside of this interview?
Vusumnotho Expo sine platform ka Facebook lesibita nga Vusumnotho Expo 2023. I think umuntu angayi-accessa lapho le much information about le expo. Ngafuna nje ukugcizelela Ncumalo ku somabhizinisi ukuthi kule dinner there is a networking opportunity. We are having a lineup lecishe lucrative nalapho, and we've got inazayana invited guests lecishe ase are key ku business sector basically. We've got Isipak Jolotaba Kulmisi overview of the economy. Babuga kanjani ne outlook yabo babona kanjani in the near future. Where are we going basically? Then we've got a lady Mage Habangani. Lotabe economist and a woman in ICT, how can they take advantage of that space basically? Siyawubona umhlaba usifuqela ngalapho ku tinzabatabo artificial intelligence. Then wena ungumake ungsoma business who's already in the trade space. How do you position yourself for that? Ukuthi ukhona ku-update lawo ma-opportunities lakhona. Then we've got Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority who will be talking to trade and investment opportunities that are made available in the country. So I think it's damage yakhona ngu-350 if individual. But kulabo lesebabhaderelele for exhibition, automatically they qualify to have a table. To have a seat during the dinner session. So kungaba nje ukukhumbuta ukuthi this week kusukela 22 up to 25 kuvusa umnotho ya utabe arana sinalama exhibitions nema seminars which have free access, phinde sibe ne family fun day nakhona it's a free access.
No, Mr. Ngabinde, I think we've covered everything. Lebengulungisela ukuthi singakukhulumisa. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thanks, Mr. Nxumalo.
Yeah, there was Sihle Ngabinde, who is the manager under the Domestic Trade Department, GAIPA. He joined us to give us an overview of Ivusumnot for Expo, which will be running from the 23rd of March, but they have a seminar. On the 24th of March, they have another seminar, but focusing on different subtopics. Maswati, especially laola nishisegelo kute business, abe part of na initiative lenhle nakangaka sibahlolet market.
Lesi sikhathi lapho khona emaphoyisa agubha kuba khona kwawo even. Kulapho kukhuthathwa khona sive ukuthi sike sihlale phansi sibuke bumcoka bemaphoyisa empilweni yabantu. Siphindze sibuke indlela letinsha tekuphepha kubo bonke bucala lobuveta sihloko. Sive sakangwane siyakhunjutwa ukuthi singawafaki emaphoyisa etinkulumeni tepolitiki ngoba liphoyisa alingeni futhi alingenelani nepolitiki. Emaphoyisa alwa nebucala netingoti temgwaco kuphela nje. Ingako emaphoyisa athi wonke umuntu eveni akahlale ngaphandle kwekunceneka ukuthi angahle ahlaselwe tilwane tasendle. Umuntu lohlala eSwatini akatiphilele atisebentele ngaphandle kwekwesaba kuhlaselwa kwemucwa nekucekelwa phansi kwempahla yakhe. Nawe wena lophathekile emaphoyisa athi digulele kahle uze uphile ngaphandle kwekuphatamiseka. Lokungenteka ngekuthi tidlova tingene tihlasele labo labakunakekelako kuleyo ndlu. Sive lesihlakaniphile nguleso lesiphakamisa kusebenta kwemaphoyisa nabo bonke labalwa nebucala. Ngale kwaloko timbungushe tiyawuwangenela emazinyane kungenamuntu ekhaya. Lo mlayeto niulethelwa ngemaphoyisa embube abambisene nomsakato wetithombe.
Do you remember the spinning thing? This is us. This picture represents what we did. We were there when coronavirus wreaked havoc in our population. Together with other stakeholders, we formed the first line, controlling the spread of the unknown and unseen enemy of the people. Anxious ourselves, we collected dead bodies countrywide. At the time when no one wanted to come near dead bodies of loved ones, we did care for our fellow citizens. Thank you, the people of Eswatini and teams of first responders.
55 minutes after 6, just 5 minutes before 7, we are joined now through the line by Sergeant Kusile. Lotasi update ke ukuthi sime kanjani simo emigwaqweni, traffic update. Sekuvuselana lo mhla ekseni eMagwabane. Ngabe nisebenza kanjani emigwaqweni? Nifuna kusi update anithini sive namhla?
Angivusele Mnguni, ngivusele umbukelo welihlelo. Emadolobha ethu emengalolu hlobo ekhathi edolobheni laseMbabane etibane temgwaqo letilapha eceleni kwasemakethe atisebenzi kanjalo netibane letilapha eceleni kwase-Superspam na uhamba ngaye Dr. Seshaye kanti-ke kulonye uhlangothi asivetele ukuthi netibane lethiselo lapha emangwaneni yebo sesinemalanga kepha-ke sona atisebenzi lekwenta-ke ukuthi mhlawumbe sikhuthade kakhulu kubashayeli ukuthi indzawo lena lebekile nalevulekile sibili kudinga ukuthi bashayeli baniketane emathuba ikakhulukazi kulabo labangenelako labaqhamuka eTulu emangwaneni nalabaqhamuka khona lapha eMountain Inn siyadinga kubaniketa emathuba layo bangilawo laphephile nesitaladi sethu lesingisomhlolo bekungisona sitaladi sinemthamo loseTulu esimotolo naso solo siyalungiswa lekwenta-ke ukuthi mhlawumbe tindzawo letiningi taloyo mgwaqo atisito letivulekile tivaliwe zinabo stop and go labaphakanyisiwe lapho netindlela-ke azihambe ngalokucondzile siyawusebenzisa tindlela lesilungiselwe tona kwesikhashana namakhosini drive lokusalade sibheka lapha esifunzane primary naso solo sivaliwe kanti-ke na uhamba nganaso sitalade sihamba lapha ngemuva kwakalate siyawuqhamukela khona lapha eTulu eMbabane clinic lapho kuhlangana khona nomgwaqo longumakhosini drive nalona luqhamuka khona lapha eTulu eMbabane clinic nakhona lapho imotolo tiniketana emathuba kwatisa ukuthi ngumzila munye lovulekile-ke kuleyo ngcingwana leyo kanti emgwaqweni wethu lomkhulu losuka lapha ekeni lasengwenya na ukhuphuka insaba yakumalagwane lapha eceleni kwaka-Goldblatt noma-ke lapha ka-EMS kunesilolana lapho lesifile sithethe-ke ingxenye yemgwaqo wekuhamba i-driving lane awube kunene nalapho sicaphele ibekiwe-ke imphawu sasonzela kuleyo ngcingwana leyo na ubuka nje emafini lapho uyayithola-ke leyo loli leyo kanti edolobheni lakumathapha isebenza kahle tibane tethu kamanzini khona na usuka lapha ezakhele ubheka khona lapha kubohafu ngaye 10 Bergen Street leso sitaladi leso itolo besivaliwe kepha-ke sivuliwe kulamalanga yebo litiyela lisengakafakwa lapho asishayele ngalokukhulu kucophelela kanti ekhathi edolobheni masala esikhundleni nakhele street solo bavaliwe kanti kuletinye tifundza lisingakuqaphelisa nje kakhulu lapha elibonjeni ngiyo ifuyo lebonakala emgwaqweni bekunene asichubeke sishayele ngalokukhulu kucophelela nebanikati bemfuyo bayikhweshise imfuyo emgwaqweni kanti na uphuma edolobheni lasesiteki uthatha MR7 ubheka khona lapha komzilikazi madudane nje neligaraji la petrol laka-Gulf lapho kuyabonakala ukuthi umgwaqo uncishisiwe lapho kunaso sakhiwo lesakhiwako lapho nakhona bayacela abashayeli ukuthi bashayele ngalokukhulu kucophelela kwatise ukuthi nalapho imotolo atiphambani kepha siniketana wona-ke emathuba kanti-ke lapha eshiselweni na uqhamuka inhlangano ubheka khona lapha esihluthe ku-MR11 nalapho solo bakhona ama-temporal speed humps lesifakele wona lesithi awube kunene azicaphele kwatise ukuthi kunezinqolo lezinkulu letiba wona umgwaqo endzaweni letilithumbu ngakho-ke sifanele kwehlisa lona-ke litubane kungaba ngiloko nje ekuseni asicaphele umthamo wemotolo useTulu nelinala labo labahamba ngetinyawo nalo libonakala liphakeme sithi nje bekunene la ukhona khona yena isiqiniseko sokuthi uyambambisa lo mshayeli khumbula ufika uphephile kona kuyawenda ukuthi impilo lakho noma ilanga lakho libe ngilelo lelihle siyabonga kakhulu Mnguni ngikufisela ilanga lelihle sachubeka nemsebenzi wakho naso sive semaswati sisifisela ilanga lelihle yebo lesifile sisawusebenzisa umgwaqo.
Sibonga kakhulu Magwabane sikufisela ilanga lelihle nanawe usasebenza nelibandla lakho nisachuba wona umsebenzi welive emigwaqweni. It is 59 minutes after 6 asibahlole emakethe uma sibuya sithatha indzaba leqhamuka ngaphandle kwalapha ekhaya. 1 minute after 7. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Let's take a look at our international news. A major new United Nations report being released Monday is expected to provide a sobering reminder that time is running out if humanity wants to avoid passing a dangerous global warming threshold. Now, the report by hundreds of the world's top scientists is the capstone on a series that summarizes the research on global warming compiled since the Paris Climate Accord was agreed in 2015.
Just over 140 years, the Earth's temperature has risen by 1.1 degrees Celsius. Heat waves, droughts and deadly floods are just a snippet of what awaits us as a result of global warming. The United Nations IPCC is releasing the final report from their 6th climate change assessment cycle on Monday.
Our world is at the crossroads, and our planet is in the crosshairs. We are nearing the point of no return, of overshooting the internationally agreed limit of 1.5 degrees Celsius of global warming. We are at the tip of a tipping point. But it is not too late. I count on the IPCC to do what you have always done, point the way to solutions, and show the urgent need to end global heating with cold, hard facts.
The world's top climate scientists and representatives of countries have spent a week in Switzerland condensing 10,000 pages of academic research from the last 7 years into a 20-page warning for world leaders. It's a summary of all of their major reports featuring the science of climate change, current impacts of the climate crisis, and potential solutions. Some of the warnings include at least 3.3 billion people will be affected by global warming. 14% of species will face extinction if the Earth's temperature rises by 1.5 degrees, and by 2050, cities will be experiencing annual disasters that would have previously occurred every 100 years. Solutions recommend rapid reductions in greenhouse gas emissions across all sectors, with the collective aim of attaining a carbon-neutral world by 2050. Experts are warning that a lack of action could lead to irreversible changes to our planet in the long term.
It's not only a short-term crisis. We are talking really about a short to medium and long-term crisis. So every step is important. Not only an emergency relief now, we also need to wisely think about our intervention for the medium-term support and long-term support.
For climate scientists, this final report is their last chance to call for action before the next report in 2030, by which time it will be too late to act.
Chinese leader Xi Jinping is due to meet with Vladimir Putin in a political boost for the isolated Russian president after the International Criminal Court charged him with war crimes in Ukraine. Xi's government gave no details of what the Chinese leader hoped to accomplish. Xi and Putin declared that they had a no-limits friendship before the February 2022 attack on Ukraine. But China has tried to portray itself as neutral.
At their meeting over a year ago, Russian President Vladimir Putin and his Chinese counterpart hailed a no-limits partnership. But Xi Jinping's 3-day visit to Moscow could reveal red lines. China has tried to portray itself as neutral regarding Russia's war in Ukraine, even as a mediator, releasing a 12-point proposal to solve the crisis and urging the two sides hold talks. However, Monday's visit is a clear show of support for Putin, days after the International Criminal Court charged him with alleged war crimes. If this truly is a no-limits friendship, the Kremlin may be expecting China to pledge material support for its military, and the US has warned the Communist Party is considering just that. But it's a diplomatic tightrope for Xi, as strengthening ties with its closest ally comes at the risk of further damaging his country's standing in Europe.
They want to show the developing world that they can play a constructive role. They want to avoid economic and reputational costs in Europe, so I think that they will be careful about how far they go in terms of signaling new support for Russia so that they're not seen as an enabler.
With Beijing's economy ravaged by its zero-COVID policy, Chinese companies can hardly turn their backs on European and American markets. However, Russia is also an important economic partner. According to Chinese state media, trade between the two countries jumped 34% last year. It's provided Moscow with an economic lifeline as it seeks to counter Western sanctions, with Beijing making up for lost oil and gas sales.
We take a look now at Saudi Arabia, where Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi has welcomed an invitation from Saudi Arabia's King Salman to visit the kingdom following the reconciliation deal between the two countries. An Iranian official said on Sunday. The two regional heavyweights announced on March 10 a Chinese brokered deal to restore ties 7 years after they were severed.
After a historic reboot of Saudi-Iranian relations only 9 days earlier, President Raisi was invited to Riyadh by King Salman, an invitation he has accepted. Facilitated by China, the two countries announced on the 10th of March that they would re-establish diplomatic relations 7 years after they were cut off.
We agreed to open a new chapter between the Islamic Republic of Iran and Saudi Arabia after having no ties for 7 years, while observing the interests of both countries.
Sunni Saudi Arabia cut ties with predominantly Shia Iran in 2016 after an attack on its embassy in Tehran, revenge for the execution of a Shia cleric in Riyadh. The US welcomed the reconciliation with a note of caution.
I think there's a bit of frustration that it was the Chinese that brokered the deal and not the US. But I think also putting those frustrations to one side, the US will, of course, be happy that there is movement towards a more positive relationship between the Saudis and the Iranians.
This diplomatic rapprochement could have wider implications in the region, with the two Persian Gulf powers currently fighting a proxy war in Yemen. Riyadh and Tehran both plan to reopen their embassies within 2 months and will also revive trade and security cooperation deals signed in 1998 and 2001.
We take a look now in America, where America readied itself Monday ahead of the possible historic indictment of Donald Trump over a hush money case, with the former president calling for mass demonstrations if he is charged.
The year was 2006 and Donald Trump was just a reality TV personality. Porn star Stormy Daniels, then known as Stephanie Clifford, was working as a greeter in Lake Tahoe where they met. According to her 2018 tell-all memoir, she had an extramarital encounter with the would-be president, described as the least impressive sex she'd ever had. And when he ran for president in 2016 and she was out to sell her story, Trump's team allegedly paid her $130,000 in hush money, an illegal use for campaign funds. Donald Trump has always denied the accusations, but his own former lawyer, Michael Cohen, has testified against him. In a post to his alternative social media platform, Truth Social, he announced that he expected to be arrested on Tuesday, calling the allegations a fully debunked fairy tale. And Republicans have been quick to cry witch hunt. His former VP,
the fact that the Manhattan DA thinks that indicting President Trump is his top priority, I think, just tells you everything you need to know about the radical left in this country. It just feels like a politically charged prosecution here.
And the current Speaker of the House.
And say it doesn't matter what side of the issue you're on. It doesn't matter if this was President Trump or if this was a Democrat. It should be equal justice in America. And stop going after people because you have political differences.
The prosecution will be difficult, though, with a high burden of proof. If Trump did not knowingly commit a crime, he cannot be convicted. This would be the first ever criminal indictment of a former US president, adding to his long list of legal woes, as he campaigns to be elected again in 2024.
In France, their parliament adopted a divisive pension bill on Monday, raising the retirement age from 62 to 64, after lawmakers in the lower chamber rejected 2 no-confidence votes against the government. Let's take a look.
Vous voulez renverser le gouvernement qui la porte, vous en avez désormais la possibilité. Je vous remercie.
By a hair's breadth, the French government lives to see another day, and its controversial pension reform is adopted by Parliament. 278 MPs voted no confidence in the current government, only 9 votes short of a majority.
9 votes. The government is already dead in the eyes of the French people. The Prime Minister has no legitimacy or power. She must now resign, taking her reform with her.
The tight result was a coup in itself, as it garnered unanimous support from the left, the centre, and an unexpectedly high number of conservative Republicans. One rebel Republican talked to France 24 before the vote about his reasons.
The one who is adding chaos to France right now is the President Macron. He is not listening to anyone. He is just trying to get people the one against the other.
The French constitution is clear. If the government bypasses a vote in Parliament and pushes through a law using Article 49.3, only a majority no-confidence vote can block the bill. But opponents of the reform from all sides show no signs of backing down, and the far-right National Rally is poised to capitalise.
Mathematically, it didn't go through, but politically, it says a lot.
And within minutes of the result, protesters gathered despite heavy police presence.
We're going to keep going to the end, and even if they don't agree with us being here, we're going to stay. That's how we'll win.
We're going to continue to show that workers are the wealth creators, and they'll continue to strike, to block the country, to show that the government can't do anything without them.
Unions have vowed to carry on fighting the reform, with a 9th day of general strikes and protests planned for Thursday.
The UBS Group has emerged as Switzerland's one and only global bank with a state-backed rescue of its smaller peer credit Suisse, a risky bet that makes the Swiss economy more dependent on a single lender.
Watches, chocolates, and banks. That's what the world associates with Switzerland. But with the Credit Suisse crisis and now a takeover by UBS, could the nation's status as the financial hub for the wealthy be at risk? Switzerland's president says the rescue is needed to secure Swiss banking's reputation for stability.
The takeover of Credit Suisse by UBS is the best solution for restoring the confidence that has been lacking in financial markets recently, and for best managing the risk to our country and its citizens.
But the Swiss public isn't buying it. With UBS now the only global bank in the country, the anger and anxiety is evident.
This is a shock? It's a shock for the whole of Switzerland. Switzerland is rubbing its eyes this morning.
Internationally, I think it's questionable, because it will leave us with a monopoly situation in the banking sector.
Switzerland's financial sector employs hundreds of thousands of people worldwide and accounts for around 10% of the nation's economy. There will be job losses in the thousands. Credit Suisse shareholders are taking a hit, and perhaps the most damaging are the questions over whether Switzerland is a safe place to invest. And the public doesn't want to pay for the bank's mismanagement.
Fundamentally, it's a scandal that it has come to this at all. And I am clearly of the opinion that those responsible must take responsibility and must also take financial responsibility for this.
The Credit Suisse takeover is a humiliating end for a 166-year-old institution and another blow to Switzerland's international banking reputation.
French medical aid group Doctors Without Borders has launched the first human papillomavirus HPV vaccination drive for schoolgirls in Malawi. They aim to reduce cervical cancer in Malawi, which has the world's second highest death rate from the disease.
Malawi rolled out its national human papillomavirus vaccination campaign in 2019, targeting 1.5 million girls aged 9 to 14 to prevent cervical cancer. But the COVID pandemic quickly disrupted the HPV vaccine drive with shifting medical priorities and social distancing. Medical aid group Doctors Without Borders, known by its French abbreviation MSF, this year launched a campaign to boost the low vaccine uptake by targeting girls at school.
It's easier to find this age group in schools than in a community. And at the school, we have the Minister of Education, which we works hand in hand with the Minister of Health. And it's easier to explain or to advocate, to mobilize these children to get to understand what is an HPV and how can they prevent it, mostly in line of a vaccine.
MSF says since January, they vaccinated about 65,000 girls in 300 schools. MSF says Malawi has the world's second largest death rate from the disease, 7 times the global average, with thousands dying every year. Before getting vaccinated, girls are also taught about the disease.
Health education has helped us to prepare the girls for the vaccine and to make them decide what to do on their own. As such, a lot of girls between 9 and 14 years of age volunteered to get the jabs. Some were even asking us to vaccinate them before they get consent from their parents.
Malawi in 2020 destroyed 20,000 expired doses of COVID-19 vaccines because of low uptake over myths and misunderstandings. The HPV vaccine faced the same resistance as some parents refused consent.
Their fear was that they suspected that we were vaccinating their children to make them infertile. Some suspected that we want to vaccinate their children against COVID-19 and that we have just changed the appearance of COVID-19 doses.
Malawi health officials say meetings with village chiefs and parents helped debunk those myths, and the vaccination rate has soared in the MSF drive.
We wish this support can be normalized also, so that MSF can support us each and every time when we need to have this support on the HPV.
MSF says if there are no more disruptions, they'll keep up vaccinations to try to bring down Malawi's high death rate and maybe even one day stop cervical cancer. Lamek Masina for VOA News, Machinga District, Malawi.
We keep our eye on Africa. As the Horn of Africa enters its 6th failed rainy season, the number of internally displaced people in Somalia has reached an all-time high, with millions forced to leave their homes.
Sheltering from the scorching sun under a tree with her 3 children, Marian Ali Aden is waiting to be given a temporary place to stay. Aden was forced to leave her home in Waji district of Somalia's Bakol region.
The problem that brought us here is that we lost our farms and livestock to the severe drought. Their father used to bring us some food, but it wasn't available anymore. And after we lost everything, we had to flee.
Aid agencies such as the UN's International Organization for Migration, or IOM, say the town of Dolo, near the Somalia-Ethiopia border where Aden arrived, is seeing an influx of people fleeing the multi-year drought that began in 2020. This is Ladang camp for the internally displaced, home to more than 180,000 people. IOM says it has added 3 displacement camps to house more people. Hassan Mohammed Gabo is with the International Organization for Migration.
As you can see, 15 families have arrived in these 3 new camps in 2 days. And the number of people arriving is increasing every day. We ask donors, the government and businesses to reach out and assist these people as soon as possible. Otherwise, the situation will get worse.
The IOM has also built a camp for the displaced in Barwaqo. A mother of 7, Faduma Ali Ado, lost one of her children on the perilous journey to the camp.
I fled from my home after the drought hit our farm and we lost all our animals. We walked for 7 days and I lost one of my kids on the way here. The only animal we brought here was a donkey. Then we sold it to buy food for my children. They have given me this house I live in now.
IOM's Deputy General of Operations Ugochi Daniels visited a camp in Baidoa and says the impact of the drought is widespread.
Baidoa has received the most internally displaced people in Somalia, but all of Somalia is also affected by conflict as well as by climate change.
The UN says the number of displaced people in Somalia has reached 3.8 million people this year. While humanitarian assistance is reaching some parts of Somalia, aid groups say immediate and sustained intervention at a large scale is required to prevent further displacement and a loss of life. For Abdul Ghadir Zubair in Dolo, Somalia, Salim Salman, VOA News.
We look now at the Middle East. Iraq on Monday marks 20 years since the start of the US-led invasion that toppled dictator Saddam Hussein, but no official celebrations are planned. The oil-rich country remains traumatized from the years of war, occupation, and bloody sectarian turmoil that followed the operation launched on March 20, 2003. A semblance of normalcy has returned, but Iraq still battles a range of entrenched challenges, from political instability to poverty and rampant corruption.
Peace here in Baghdad is precarious. When Iraq's citizens reflect on the 20th of March 2023, they remember these scenes. Scenes of war.
The situation was exhausting. Homes and communities were hit, people were killed, and warplanes dropped a lot of bombs.
After several weeks, Saddam Hussein was toppled.
There was a kind of happiness, and you could see happiness in people's faces.
At the end of 2003, Hussein was arrested, then sentenced to death 3 years later. Ali Hassan, whose brothers were killed by the fallen dictator's regime, testified against him.
This was the moment that all of Saddam's victims were hoping for. It was a moment of pride and honor.
Hannah Edward, an Iraqi women's rights activist, remembers the social victories following the end of Hussein's rule.
On the 8th of March, the 25% women quota in Parliament was included. This was the second victory of the civil movement.
But Iraq would see another 20 years of instability. Rebellions against the American occupation, the war against the Islamic State group, and the recent uprisings of young people against the government.
Now, when you want to express your opinions or claim your rights, they confront you with weapons and kill you. It's no different to the previous regime.
Today, Iraq continues to face the threat of insurrections. According to a senior Iraqi official, several hundred fighters belonging to the Islamic State group are still active in the country.
In Poland, an art exhibit in Warsaw brings together the works of Ukrainian artists who aim to document the brutality of Russian aggression. The exhibition is entitled Ukraine Under a Different Sky. We report on the display at the Ujazdowski Castle Center for Contemporary Art in Warsaw.
These are the sights and sounds in Ukraine under a different sky, an exhibition here at the Ujazdowski Castle Center for Contemporary Art in Warsaw. Visitors listen to the sounds of war in a dark room with scenes of the frontline city Kharkiv displayed on the walls. For some, the exhibit can be overwhelming.
There was a couple from Ukraine, which I saw. They were in this room, and they just break out and start crying.
The exhibition includes 200 works documenting the impact of Russia's war on their homeland by Ukrainian artists, including Olga Drozd.
Every piece of art here tries to answer one question: how is this horror real in the 21st century? The exhibition demonstrates war not only generally, but through artists' personal experiences.
When Russia started the war, Drozd began taking photographs of her kitchen window in Kyiv. The items on her windowsill changed, and over time, so did the weather, but the glass window has remained unbroken. This exhibit is entitled, "Thank You for Another Day."
I just walked in my kitchen, looked at these red curtains, and thought, thank God. The windows are intact today. I'm alive. I live near the thermal power plant in Kyiv, so my house often shook from the explosions.
In the next room, a bed is pierced with broken glass. Black paint is splattered all around. Artist Yulia Zakharova says it reflects how scared she feels when explosions wake her up.
For me, it's an association with my own bed, in which I woke up when the full-scale aggression began. I panicked and did not know what to do next. And you know, the bed is something so sacred. It's something where we rest, where we feel safe.
Museum officials say the displays are meant to evoke empathy so that visitors can feel what life is like in Ukraine as Russia continues its attacks.
When you come into the exhibition, you can actually feel it more, what's going on at the moment. Through art, you can explain the war in a different way. It's much more emotional, it gets into your heart. We don't want people to get used to the war. We want people to talk about that Ukraine needs to be armed and needs support all the time.
The exhibition in Warsaw runs to mid-May. For Lesia Bakalets in Warsaw, Elizabeth Chernev, VOA News.
Most large cities around the world have a problem with homelessness. Some places make it illegal to live on the streets. Others allow tent cities to accommodate those without a home. We take a look at one U.S. city that has reduced its homeless population by half and is considered a model for others.
These are the sights and sounds in Ukraine under a different sky, an exhibition here at the Ujazdowski Castle Center for Contemporary Art in Warsaw. Visitors listen to the sounds of war.
Above all else, Matthew DeLaurel wanted to be a pilot.
So, yes, it's a training kitchen.
Instead, he runs a kitchen.
Also, it's a functional kitchen. So we feed our public.
That plates 500 meals a day.
So you see over here my sous chef.
Not long ago, he was homeless, haunted by failed marriages and cocaine and meth abuse.
Yeah, so I used to call it functional drug addiction. And so I've been a drug addict since I was probably 16 years old.
In 2019, DeLaurel took one last chance at life.
I felt, what the heck? I'm about to kill myself. God, you have 2 weeks. I'll follow you for 2 weeks. And that 2-week decision led me here.
Here is the Springs Rescue Mission, a gospel-based homeless shelter that organizers say meets people wherever they are in life.
Low barrier means you can come here, you can be addicted.
Jack Briggs runs the place.
You can be drunk. There's no place for you to go. We're that last place.
The shelter and its partners have cut homelessness in half in Colorado Springs, Colorado. How they do that begins at the front door.
You got any drugs, weapons, alcohol, any paraphernalia?
Anyone can enter, but no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or aggression allowed. If a dog has been a best friend, good boy, it can stay too, in a kennel. Here, the homeless aren't a problem. They aren't a city blight. They are people.
We have to remember that the folks that are coming to the rescue mission are tired and cold and hungry and scared and hurt. So it's no wonder that they can be a little grumpy. Our job is to meet people where they're at. Focus on meeting where they're at. And in doing that, we can start to build trust and a relationship with them.
Trust by asking clients on their first day to give up the only thing they own, their bags of clothing, which are washed, folded, and placed in lockers. The courtyard is quiet, clients calm, unlike on the outside.
In an environment like this, safety and security is hospitality.
Before the shelter fenced its campus and opened its welcome center, only 1 in 4 of the clients were women. Now women are almost half the population.
Marie will be here, our volunteer, and she'll help you with your resume.
The mission helps 40 people a month get jobs, but the real work is here, reteaching promptness, responsibility, and simply how to answer an email.
And that's going to be Tuesday and Thursday mornings.
You want to understand what your mission is and you want to advance that.
Briggs used to run missions of a different sort. He's a retired Air Force Major General who flew fighter jets, now helping to navigate a soft landing for his clients. Thank you. The rescue mission does have its critics. Some complain about the religious overtones.
Loud and clear.
John Suthers is the city mayor.
The rescue mission knows if there's any government funds flowing in there, federal or state, whatever services those provide can't have a religious overtone to it. And they respect that.
The separation of programs is required by government law. But personally, the staff lean on and credit faith for their success. All who are weary do seem to end up at the spring's rescue mission to rediscover their personal worth and to re-enter society. Carolyn Pursuti, VOA News, Colorado Springs, Colorado.
31 minutes after 7 sesifike ke maphethelweni etindzabeni leqhamuka phandle kwalapha ekhaya sihlola emakethe singakayi emakethe sidabuka simo selitulu.
Watch local TV on the go with the Eswatini TV app for only 20 emalangeni. Come on. Do the most with Eswatini TV app. Download from Google Play Store or App Store. We're good together.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Thirty-four minutes after 7, welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, last week, members of Parliament from around the world gathered at the 146th Inter-Parliamentary Union Assembly in Manama, Bahrain, to consider the dangers that hate, intolerance, exclusion, and violence in all their forms pose to the social contract that holds our societies together. Nomhlangano ke ubanjwe ngephansi kwesicubulo lesithuthukisa ukuthula kanye nekuhlalisana kwayo yonke imimango kuphindze kuliwe nekungabeketelelani. Kulo mhlangano ke live laseSwatini belimelelwe libandla lebeliholwa imphunga Mkhululi Dlamini lewetfule inkulumo yebaseSwatini. Imphunga Mkhululi Dlamini itsinze tinhlangothi letahlukene letikhulumisa kugcina kuthula lapha eveni letfaka ekhathi yemasiko kanye nemihambo yaseSwatini ekutheni kudlala inzima lenkhulu ekugcineni bunye nekuthula eveni. Senator Mkhululi Dlamini joins me now in studio now to reflect on the key deliberations from the 146th Inter-Parliamentary Union Assembly. Ngozi Dlamini siyibonga kakhulu ukuthi uthathe naso isikhathi so ukuthi udoktor ukhulumisana nathi ngana ngumsebenzi lomkhulu beniye kuwo lapha eBahrain Ngozi siyanivusela.
Ngasivusela nina mkhulu.
Wakhulu. Ngozi kungaba nje kusilanjisela ngayo i-Inter 146th IPU Assembly lebenikuyo eBahrain ekutheni yini vele tinto benitikhulumisa yebo kona sekukhona nami lenkundla le kancane kodwa ngiyatlowe ukuthi wena ukhona ngena kahle matfunjini loyo ukuthi ke nembukele ekhaya akhona kuyiva kahle ukuthi live laseSwatini vele beliyokwendani lapha.
Angicale nje mnguni besihambe silibandla la kaNgwane. Bebangaholwa ngimi mnguni. Besiholwa ngumcondzisi. Babe speaker bamavimbela. Wafane wathi ke bamavimbela nasekukhulunywa akusukume siyokhulumela live. Besikhulumisa tindzaba tekuthula emhlabeni. Kuyaliwa. Kude live lelingalo kulamalanga. Uthi ke IPU asesikhulumiseni lokulwa ukuthi kusuka njani futhi sitakucetha njani. Uyabona kulwa inkinga yako ukuthi nisina senicedzile lokulwa. Bese niyabuyela niyakhuluma futhi. Manje sekuyamangalisa ukuthi yini ningacala ngalokukhuluma vele noma niyawugcinela khona ekukhulumeni. Besikhulumisa leyo nje nalelo live belisukuma nalo lisho ukuthi even lethu sibuka kanje. Kule lethu sibuka kanje. Thine ke singemaswati ngalo ukuthi sideditha. besikhulumisa nje ukuthi bekunene ngiloyo naloyo akatinakele tinzabatake kube bede lo tawuthi angene tinzabata lomunye ikakhulu nangabe atati ngena ngekonisa muhlu umuntu lo tawuthi nakafika afike ngekwekhuta afike ngekuthi kuphiliswane geja lona lo tawuthi achubeke ebudlwangudlwambu yembili asimthanzi thina singemaswati
akevakala Dlamini engabe mangilalela lapha kule speech lo sethulile uyayithinza indzaba yokuthi emasiko la kangwane asisite kangakanani ekutheni sichubeke sibambane kanti ke besibona eminyakeni ile endlulile kusinetinombolo besetehla emi-17 yelive kodwa nje lo nyaka siyabonga ukuthi in fact sibone record breaking numbers in attendance emi-17 yelive noma sebasho ke abantu ukuthi eminyakeni ungathi amasiko sekajijelwa ngelifastelo lo nyaka kube kuhle kakhulu kungaba nje kuva ukuthi vele lamasiko asita kanjani ekutheni asibambe sibumbane silive
Mnguni mina ngimva nawe emasiko kukhula kwami konke ngalamasiko uyakhona lo ukuthi ube ne truth kambe ngidawuthini you will never understand who you are until you know where you come from emasiko ke asilethela lokho lo ukuthi sitati njengoba nje wena Mnguni ngilamasiko la yawubanga ukuthi mina nawe sikhone kucocisana ngenhlonipho ngalo ukuthi kulamasiko lokuhloniphana nawutsheliwe nje ukuthi na indvuna uthi hey induna kaNdaba kanjalo nangabe usekhaya kunamake kunababe noma ngabe udiva ukuthi unemandla kwani ke jawu yathi uthi nangimake nangibabe kulamasiko vele noma ungathini uthini lelive likhungele kule mihambo nalamasiko ethu noma ungafunda ube ne doctorate geja nangabe sokhohliwe limuva lakho kuyawukhanya ukuthi vele liqiniso lithi kude lonako sikhungelekiwe lamasiko Nkosi
kanti ke Hlubina lokunye nje lokubeke ngembaba uma ukhuluma lapha ukuthi kude live lekumele likuthakasele ukuhlupheka kwalelinye ngenzaba yekulwa kungabe nje kusichazela kabanti ngalelo sentence lelo ngoba kungathi bakhonena lokuthi bese bazivetela the reaction from the audience kungathi bantu kubajabulise kakhulu lokho
bajabulile Mnguni bajabulile kukhona abantu labadidlova nje kudalwa kwabo letidlova tithi ngalesikhani nanilwa tijabule lithi ke lethu asisuvuma ukuthi kube nelive leliyawungena lingene tindzabate bantfu ukuthi tifuce lobudlwangudlwangu ukuthi abuchubeke ngempilo bese khuta lokho nje ukuthi nangabe mina nawe nje Mnguni nasingacabana nyalo lo tawungena lapha akangene kusilamula hayi ukuthi angenele ukuthi hey shaya kakhulu akube ukuthi nangabe sihlangene ukuthi sifuna kuthula kucabana kutaba khona geja ke nasicabene abasivumele lo ukuthi sicabane size sicethe lokucabana geja singaphathanyiswa ngumuntu lokucabana kwethu sisombululo sasithola nabajabula laba bekunene bajajuliswa ukuthi bancane abantu labakhona lokulikhuluma leliqiniso lokuthi asenisiyekeleni sisebende tinzabatethu bonke bayesaba ngalo ukuthi kunalabo sondonzima labakhonako kungena basibhidla geja ke silive laseswatini sithi awube kunena asesiyekeleni onke lamave lana ukukhuluma labakhulumako abatikhulumele bona babodwa
kanti ke Dlamini uphindze wayithinza ke wayibuyisa lapha ekhaya endzaba ukuthi iParliamentary yakangwane tayidlala inzima yayo ekuqinisekiseni noma nje sekusebenzisana nabo bonke labathinzekako ekugcineni kuthula kuleli.
Liqiniso lithi nanyalo iParliament solo iyadama ukuthi live libuye lime kahle. Tinginga letiphethe eMaswati siyadandi. Kufuna nje ukuthi bese sesenda lo ukuthi leto dinginga tikhweshe. eMaswati afuna imisebenzi. eMaswati afuna kufunza. Na iParliament ingahlala phasi ilungise lokho. Litawubuya live lisimama. Nasingakhona nje ukuthi kube bede Eswati lelilambile. Lonke Eswati lelifunzile likhona ekuthola umsebenzi. Litawaka. This is a very, very good country. It's a very good country. Sesilahlekelwa nje kancane ukuthi nasingakhona lokulungisa lokho. Yebo ke ngalo ukuthi phela umnotho wemhlaba wonke.
Yes.
Nangabe nje kukhona lokwako lena nathi sitaw affected. Keja ke ngicabanga ukuthi sisetikwayo siParliament sizame ukuthi eMaswati aphile impilo letinhle. Utawuthula la kangwane.
Utawuthula la kangwane. Dlamini usathinza yona indzawo ukuthi umnotho ngewemhlaba wonke. We do acknowledge indzawo ukuthi some of the topics abuka the individual, noma ngithi the unique issues in the different parliaments layile kule assembly, but generally the overarching theme ngiyo indzaba yokupromote peace ne coexistence in societies, particularly global coexistence. Siyathi ke lokho ukuthi letinye indzaba lentikhulumisile ngito tindzaba letingiwo risk to global peacefulness, letfaka ekhatsi bo cyber attack nabo cyber crime. Ngabe kungaba nje kusihleplela as you reflect on the 146th Interparliamentary Union Assembly ekutheni manitsinza tona tindzaba tabo cyber crime nabo cyber attack kuthi vele ti global threat kanjani etindzabeni tekuthula emhlabeni wonke.
Emnguni inginga lenkulu lena lehambelana nalendzaba loyikhulumako yabo cyber crime nabo cyber attack. Bantfwana etikolweni bacommit suicide ngendzaba yalabo cyber bullying. Ngisho nemave angena etimphini ngendzaba ya khabo labo ma cyber langa. Sivumelene ngelivlinye ukuthi yafanele ukuthi ibe khona freedom of expression. Futhi angeke sikhone nini tinsathele ukuthi singanivimba kecha kuthiwa yini lokucinzetela tinsathele ukuthi tingakhulumi.
Censoring.
Ngeke sikhone ukwenda lokho kusensorisha. Keja lendzaba yakhabo cyber inkinga yayo ukuthi kude standards. Nawe nje ungangena namuhla utiposte wenda noma ngayini. Nabe batawukuva ke labantu vele kutawukhoza leyo destruction. So sivumelene sonke futhi wonke lo mhlaba besinaye le ukuthi ayibe khona freedom of expression. Keja akube khona monitoring letawuba khona, because this is very dangerous. Kunebantu abami labangenile kulento le. Nabangenile wena ufike wenda noma ngayini lapha sebayitholile bona kude nalokwekhutako kude nalama standards kani nje ngiyabekisa la kuwe nje njoba sila kuna editor kuna producer kunetigabagaba kani lapha kude kuba nguwe nje ukhulume mathanza kuthi kwendekani kude ngisho nalama repercussions lotawabona emva kwalokho ngalokuthi ukuhlalele nje wena lela uhleli khona wenda lo lokwendako. So sikhulumile vele kuyinkinga emhlabeni yebo ke hayi ukuthi kuyinkinga noma phela naw isebenzise kahle. Naw isebenzise kahle, it's a very useful tool.
Yeah, indeed.
You can get anywhere at any time ngako lokho. Keja ke kufuna ukuthi sibe nato letindlela tewe ukuthi kumonitheke hayi kusensorish keja kumonitheke. Loyo longenako abanayo le element ye accountability. Ngokuthi na utofaka la bese sekusha leave akubonakala ukuthi say yes. Kungabi nje ukuthi ngithela wayeka. Noma nyalo lenkinga lesinayo singumhlaba nje ukuthi le cyberspace ingithela wayeka.
Another subject item lengasho ukuthi benifake abakey bekuyindzaba ye sustainable development kuthuthuka lokukhonsako Dlamini. Manitsinsa yona indzaba ye sustainable development siyathi ke ukuthi masibuyisa nje la khaya live la kaNgwane outside of sugar siyathi ukuthi iforestry idlala inzima lengakanani kusimamiseni umnotho welive la kaNgwane. Kulethi indzaba ke dabo carbon footprint tindzaba to ukuthi emahlathi yakangashiswa. Ngabe nani tikhulumisa tindzaba dabo sustainable development nihambe nafika kangakanani tindzaba into ukuthi silive la kaNgwane nathi singakhona kurelate in terms of naku lesinako kweforestry.
I-sustainable development mnguni sithena siyiteka kwakhanya lo ukuthi kukhulunywa ukuthi kuloguquguquka kwesimo selitulo singebantu siphila ngithi lesifaka sadla lesikhulu lapho sase siyavumelana ukuthi wabulala sihlahla uhlanyela lesinye akube letihlahla lesinato la mhlabeni atusuwehla ngenombolo sithi sustainable development ngalo ukuthi siphila ngekuphefumula siphefumula umoya lo moya lo sikhicitelwa ngiletihlahla so na kambe vele ukhulume ngemoba ulungile umoba asibe nawo ematamatisi asibe nawo bo green pepper konke asibe nako kodwa naletihlahla leti tawuthi di sustain lokuphefumula kwethu nato atibe khona so sikhulume nje ukuthi asisunaka kakhulu imali bese sesilahla imvelo asithi siyifuna le mali keja imvelo sibe solo siyigcina nayo sitawukhona ukuthi siphile kanye nalemvelo.
Sikhuluma njengosi there's an ongoing tree planting program lekhona lapha eveni sitawubona nje nalamuhla Minister of Home Affairs uschedulishe yona le tree planting imsebenzi lechubekako kuyajabulisa ke lokubona ukuthi live la kaNgwane selivele liticalele tinhlelo nibuya khona lena ku 146th Interparliamentary Union Assembly la khona kuthathwe tona leti incomo ukuthi asithuthuke ngalokukhonsile siyajabula ukuthi live la kaNgwane selivele liye step ahead siboya Dlamini wekunene kusijoyina lamhla ekuseni siyathi uvuka usuka le khashane le uvuka ngetingwedi sibonga nje ukuthi ukhonile kusijoyina siyabonga.
Kubonga thina kubonga thina pha.
There was a Senator Mkhululi Dlamini usipha nje an overview or rather sithi uya reflect on the 146th Interparliamentary Union lebeyibanjelwe edolobheni leManama eveni la seParane evikini leliphelile sidabahlola imarket esikhathi 51 minutes after 7 masibuya siguqoda lihlelo.
talk about inflation around the world. But what is it really? And why is it happening? So, what is inflation? Inflation is a broad-based increase in the price of things. First, when I say broad-based, I really mean that. Inflation is not about the price of broccoli going up versus spinach, because there's been some new diet fad that says that broccoli is better for you. It's about the prices of vegetables rising in general and about the prices of other things rising. Now, for consumers like you and me, it's about a broad-based increase in the prices of things that we consume and pay for. So that includes things like groceries, gas, subway passes. For businesses, it's about a broad-based increase in the prices of things that they pay for. So that includes the computers that we work with or the electricity bill for the lights in this cafeteria. There's a second related point, which is that it's about the representative basket of things that consumers actually consume, on average across the entire population. So maybe subway pass prices are going up, but that's not going to factor into countrywide inflation in a major way unless most people in the country actually ride the subway. Now, the reason that we care about inflation is that it can lower people's living standards. When prices rise faster than wages, people are effectively getting poorer. $1 that I have today is worth less than the $1 that I had last year. That makes me worse off. That's why we say that inflation is the worst tax on the poor. So, why is it happening? Well, there's two big buckets of reasons. The first is when there's shortages in supply or slowdowns in supply. So let's think about coffee production since we're here in this cafe. Let's say that there's a bad harvest or a drought, which reduces the amount of coffee beans. However, everyone in the world, including myself, is still going to have the same demand for those coffee beans, and that's going to nudge prices up. Or take COVID as an example. A lot of people were asked to stay home to avoid spreading the virus. In some cases, that led to a shutdown in ports or shipping terminals, limiting supplies. Again, that nudged up prices. The other big bucket is on the demand side, so people demanding or wanting more goods and services than there are available. Sometimes economists call this an economy overheating or running hot. So what can governments do to ease it? Well, first, it depends on the source of inflation. But the broad idea is that governments want to bring down price increases to a manageable and stable level, both for businesses and consumers. Let's start with the demand side. So governments, through their central banks, can decrease demand by increasing interest rates. So whether you're buying a house and taking out a loan to do so, or if you're charging things to your credit card, higher interest rates mean higher borrowing costs. And so those costs are going to go up, and that means less money to spend on other things. However, it also incentivizes saving. So a lot of savings accounts give you small interest payments when you put your money in the bank. Those interest payments are also going to go up. Now, on the other side, governments can also cut spending or increase taxes, and the broad idea is that there's less money sloshing around to spend things on. Now let's think about the supply side. It's a little bit trickier, but governments can still do something. In some cases, governments might have special reserves to lessen the damage. Think strategic oil reserves. But not all countries have these, or they're not large enough to have an impact. The second thing governments can do in the longer term is create an environment that incentivizes businesses to produce more. So let's think about a competitive environment. So you want to avoid situations where you have just one or a few firms setting prices in one industry. So, for example, let's say that we live in a small town and there's just one pizza place. That one pizza place could charge us whatever they wanted to get those pizzas. Now, consider competing pizza places coming in. That firm is probably going to reduce its prices in order to keep its customers. Now, stepping back, in reality, sometimes we both have too much demand and too little supply. So it's a balancing act, and governments often use a mix of policies to help tame inflation.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you'll go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience in the kingdom.
.58 minutes after 7 sesifike emaphethelweni elihlelo lwethu lalamuhla. Kungaba nje kukhumbuta ukuthi ivusumnotho Expo iyaqala ke elangeni lakusasa kude kube ngomhla tingama-25 kulenyanga lesetulu. Bosomabhizinisi baya invitwa ke kulama seminar lamabili atawuba khona on the 23rd of March. On the 23rd of March nje kakhulu kukhutsatwa bomake because that seminar will be focusing on women in trade. Kanzi ke mhla ka-24 khona invitwa cishe nje bonke bosomabhizinisi ukuthi bayingenele leyo seminar njengoba itaba ikhulumisa indzaba ye-financing for trade. Sifike emaphethelweni elihlelo, sibonge kuhlala nathi nisijoyine nakusasa, nisale kahle.